Thanks for joining us today. We're here with some important updates for ECAR. I wanted to let you know that it has been brought to our attention here at ECAR that many of our members are utilizing the Residential Foundation Condition Report form inaccurately. And so we wanted to bring to your attention that this is more widely used with bank-owned properties, government-owned properties, and foreclosures. Not to be confused with the residential property condition report. That is still the same, but we did want to bring to your attention that the foundation condition report, please read the top of it and know who it applies to in the affected areas.
And you can get more information on that on crumblingfoundation.org.
That's correct. And there's a concrete advisory form, the disclosure that is to be used by your sellers in the affected areas, and that is to be provided to the buyers at the time of sale. And that covers quite a few things, actually, including whether they have a claim.
Right, and you want the buyer to also sign off on that. And basically, we're covering the realtors to make sure that the issue, if there is any, is between the seller and the buyer.
That's right. There is a foundation advisory form that buyers should be signing, and it is recommended that they sign it at the same time that you have your buyer representation agreement signed to make sure that everybody has been told about the advisory and that there is issues with foundations in Connecticut.
So that's a little bit of a change, right? Because I don't think everyone uses this foundation advisory for buyer, but best practices are to use this form.
Okay. Let's talk about the continuing ed, shall we? So the brokers have to have their continuing ed done prior to August 31st, 2024 to avoid being non-compliant with the law, and actually also to avoid not getting a $315 fine, which is a new fine that the brokers will be getting, and then next year the salespeople will be getting it as well if they don't have their continuing ed done 3 months prior. The renewal dates for your license is November 30th, 2024 for the brokers. Again, continuing ed has to be done by August 31st to avoid the fine and to be compliant.
Yeah, the key thing about that is the law changes April 1. So for brokers, they need to have their CE done on August 31, and that's after the law changes. So for brokers, if they don't have that CE done 90 days before their due date, they do get that $315 fine. It's different for the salespeople.
Yes, the salespeople this year won't get a fine. That will take place next round. But it is still important that they get their continuing ed done on time, because we will now have to be uploading our continuing ed, correct? And if it's not done 3 months prior, you are still breaking the law. So salespeople have to have their continuing education completed before February 28th, and their license renewal is due May 31st, 2024.
Right. Yeah. And also what's new in April going forward, if you don't renew your license on those due dates, let's just set aside the CE component. Mm-hmm. If you don't actually do your license renewal by those due dates, there are also fines for that. If it's done within 2 months, I think it's $315. If you wait really long after between 2 and 4 months, I think that fine doubles.
Yeah,
so that's new for next year. Yeah.
So one of the perks that ECAR is offering is that you can take your CE courses through ECAR, and we will keep track of those for you, which is
well, that's another change too, is that it's no longer a random audit. Now every single licensee has to upload their certificates as part of their renewal process. So if you take your classes at ECAR, you can see in your own record your certificates, what you took, when you took it, and there's your certificate. So that's the plug for ECAR to take your CE here.
Yeah, well, while we're talking about that, maybe we should talk about the dues, Susie, and the new option for the concierge level.
Yes, for sure. So just so that everybody knows, we are anticipating sending out your first dues invoice on October 2nd. There's no change to the cycle. It's your dues are due by January 1, and on February 1, there is a $50 late fee. And if you go past March 1, you are inactivated. So let's just go through the pricing here. So sure. The ECAR annual dues, those local dues are $375. CTR annual dues are $265. No changes to either one of those. NAR increased their dues by $6. So with the advocacy issues $45 charge included, the total NAR has gone to $201. That total comes to $841. If you do the $10 scholarship voluntary donation and the PAF contribution of $25, that total comes to $876. Now we get to the concierge level. This is brand new and it's not been done very often around the country. For an additional $274, bringing your dues up to $1150, completely optional, you would get free unlimited CE, all your membership meetings, the resource conference, any seminars, the CBR, any fundraising event. Your registration is included in that concierge level.
Even resource
conference. The only exclusions are designations, certifications, and any CE that you might take elsewhere. The CE
that's
shop.
You don't have to register, right?
Well, that's why it's called concierge. So if you choose this, then our staff will be your concierge and we will reach out to you. Are you going to this membership meeting or not? All you got to do is tell us yes or no. We register you. So that makes your life easy.
Again, that fee is completely optional. You do not need to do it, but you would be paying separately for your continuing ed.
Yeah, we basically want you to have the option to take as much education as you want and be the best realtor that you can be. And here's that option for you.
Sounds great. There's a couple other little minor updates that the legislative have brought out to our attention, and we wanted to bring it to you. Specifically, with tenants. There is now, well, let's see, we have a couple of them here. If you are working with tenants and you have a security deposit, we want to make sure that we have those security deposits now returned within 21 days instead of 30. That's a kind of an important update.
Yeah, and that's effective October 1, coming right up.
That's correct.
And then we also have the smoke detector change is also coming up October 1st. The Connecticut Fire Marshal is creating a new affidavit, and it's going to get rid of the $250 credit. What it's going to do is shift the burden from the seller to the buyer. So when they move in, they are attesting that they will take care of that and make whatever updates and make sure that it's running and all that. That information will come out October 1. There will be a new affidavit, so just keep an eye out for that, and there will no longer be that $250 credit.
They really wanted to make sure that the buyers were staying safe in their new homes.